Breslow wanted him to do. And so there was fights over where guys should be playing, how much playing time guys should be receiving. There were fights about the lineup, and Breslow is a big analytical guy, and Cora's not. And so it was a weird match to begin with. And so Cora wants his own people, and now he gets his own people. Okay, so let's see what happens. I mean, most rival GMs and teams projected the Red Sox to be in the playoffs because of their pitching staff. I mean, when you have Garrett Crochet at the top of your rotation and you have a closer like Aroldis Chapman, you got two of the best, one of the best starters in the game, one of the best closers in the game, and their bullpen with Garrett Whitlock and company, they've got some arms that should make them a contending baseball team, but they can't hit to save their life. And they're asking too much of guys like Roman Anthony, and they're asking too much of players that simply have never done it before in Major League Baseball. And so you've got this whole situation where you're expecting players to overproduce what they have done in the past and in roles where they're not comfortable. And so now you're deciding to blow out the entire coaching staff by saying they're the problem. You can't fire the players is the old adage, right? Well, the problem with the Red Sox is that they play in a very difficult division. And now at 11-17, they're already 7 games behind the Yankees. They got swept by the Yankees. And look, if you want to look at it from an old school Red Sox perspective, you get swept at home by the Yankees, you get fired. Like that's not uncommon in Boston. In the history of the Red Sox, when you're getting beaten up by your rival and you're getting embarrassed and there's not a sign of recovery, you get fired. But the team got 17 runs in the game on the day that they fired Alex Cora. They won 17-1. If you win a game 17-1, you don't think you're going to fire the coach in the next day. And according to the press conference yesterday, they made the decision to fire Alex Cora after they got swept by the Yankees, which again falls in line with traditional Red Sox history. But they now have to turn things around in a big way. And there's a lot of baseball left. That's why they made the decision, because they think this team is a lot better than 10-17 or 11-17. And they're right. It should be. I mean, I bet over 86.5 wins for a reason, because the pitching staff should be really good and the defense needs to be much better, but it hasn't at the moment for the Red Sox. And number one, look, this is beautiful. When you're chanting, "We want Boston," after you win a play-in game series and you think you're going to go up against the Celtics as the 7 seed, and the fans chanting, "We want Boston," and then Boston fans show up in Philadelphia when the Celtics are up by 30 in game 4, and the Celtics fans are chanting, "We want Boston" yesterday. I mean, if you were there or you know somebody that was there, at a tip of the cap moment, that is something of a brilliant decision for Celtics fans to go ahead and taunt Philly fans. I mean, we knew that series was going to be a mismatch. It's been a mismatch. I don't think anybody saw Peyton Pritchard going off the way he did yesterday, though. He was unbelievable. Just huge shots all over the place, huge 3-point shots all over the place coming in. So a lot of stuff going on here for the Celtics and the Sixers, but Boston should be moving on to the next round. Most likely in 5, maybe Philly gets game 6, but probably not. Boston in 5, as they will move on. Let's find out where in the world our guy is, and let's start talking about the Kentucky Derby, which will run this coming weekend. Our guy, Adam Bjorn, where are you? Are you in Vegas, Adam?
No, I'm not. And there is absolutely zero chance anyone picks where I am today. I am in Frankston, Texas, which is about a 2-hour drive from Dallas. So, yeah, zero shot anybody.
Why? Is there a reason why?
Oh, so last year or the year before, I've lost track of time, sitting around the table in Costa Rica, decided to bid on a property online in Texas, an old nursing home. Ended up bidding, won the bid, so then got into negotiations with the bank. Flew my wife up like the following day to go check on this property because we'd never seen it. We just bid on it on the internet. Looked great, whatnot. Great buy, absolute steal of a buy. However, as we sort of was ready to come back, we turned up, I think August last year. Place had been destroyed. Meth heads had got in there, stripped all the wiring, absolutely carnage of a place. So yeah, we've been kind of dealing with that. Just so happened that the meth heads went in there the next day when we were in town. The guy that we had contracting that we just met the day before caught them. Obviously, Texas, everyone's got guns, police shot. So this has been yeah, an interesting one.
This is an episode of Breaking Bad. I didn't realize we were going to get into this today. Oh my gosh! But so you're there to supervise?
I'm here because a couple of people have reached out and said they're interested in partnering up or buying it or leasing it or something. So on the way to Kentucky Derby, on the way to Louisville, I figured, hey, let me stop in Temple, wrap this stuff up, meet some people tomorrow, and then head to Louisville.
You fly into Dallas for this and then drive? Is that how you got to where you are?
Correct. I flew in. I took a red eye last night, got in at 5 a.m., in the car by 6, drove here by 8, met the bank, dealt with the land taxes. I've had a full day already.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was going to start this with a different conversation, but I'll pick it up here. I'm on a red eye to Barcelona here in about 4 hours. I'm assuming you've been to Barcelona. Is there anything that I have to do while I'm there for 5 days?
So yes, I've done Barcelona a couple of times. You'll enjoy it because I've classified it as kind of Melbourne, Boston kind of, architecture, streets, food, stuff like that. I was just there with ICE. They've moved ICE from London to Barcelona, whatnot. For me, it's just walking the streets. And you just come along random. Chocolate's a big thing. I'm a big chocolate fan, and there's plenty of hot chocolate spots and good stuff like that. But just the general food was good, the architecture, walking around. And then you've got your, the old church that's there and a few other things. But yeah, for me, it was the beach side was like being in sort of Port Phillip Bay in Melbourne, kind of things like that. So that's how I identify cities and places around the world, kind of, oh, this feels a little bit like that or a little bit like this and stuff like that. Because I've found the world over is just repetitive in that nature. Generally, it's similar landscapes, similar architectures, similar colonizations of different places that have spread across the planet. But yeah, Barcelona, I think, is one of the top cities around.
All right, I'm worried about the language barrier. Am I going to have much of a problem with the language?
Listen, I was in Costa Rica for 10, 11 years. I've got no Spanish. Zero issues, point at stuff. Everything's priced. Cerveza for a beer. But there was another little one. There was a little market that was sort of in the center city as well. The markets in the evening, whatnot, hit those places up. Lots of different fresh foods and fruits and stuff like that. But yeah, I could definitely go back there and spend some days.
Good to know, because it's not Spanish, it's not French, it's Catalan. So I'm like, hold on a second, like the words don't make any sense. I'm making these reservations at restaurants that begin with X, and I'm like, I don't understand what these words are. So I'm learning phrases. It's like, where's the bathroom and how do I order an old fashioned? Like the phrases that I'm the most curious about.
Didn't even notice. As I said, I spent like 4 nights in a row, I think, in Irish pubs. We shut down, I think, 3 or 4 nights in a row at 2 a.m., got kicked out. So yeah, probably didn't get into that much of the culture on that side of it. But yeah, for me, it was walking the streets. The food is just, again, enjoyable in that sense.
All right, I'm looking forward to the trip. Red eye, I'm not looking forward to. I was on a red eye last night. I'm on a red eye today. I don't know what day or time it is, but sure. We have the draw for the 152nd Kentucky Derby. You had given us Dannon Bourbon. The draw couldn't be better. I mean, from the 7 slot here for your guy, for Dannon Bourbon here. But the odds are anywhere from 20-1 to 50-1 on Dannon Bourbon. When you saw the draw for the Derby on Saturday, did you like it? Did you like where some of the horses that you're eyeing have been slotted?
I think it was almost a perfect draw across the board. Very much dislike the favorite. Happy to see him in the 1. If he wins it from there, congratulations to him. But I didn't like him before the draw at the price he was. Commandment has a really good spot, obviously going to be tough. Dannon Bourbon in the 7, again, go forward. I'm happy with 20s or bigger on him as well. And then there's a few others that I've sort of played along the way. Golden Tempo, I think, is big odds. And he's outside and he's going to come running at the end. sort of alongside Renegade as well. So I think everyone kind of got a draw that, you know, they're happy with. So let's see how it, you know, who goes to the front, where the speed is. That's the one issue with Dan and Bourbon is he may just go to the front and then he's got to stay wire to wire, and it's going to be tough in that spot. But they say he's potentially good enough to be in that position and hang on towards at the end. So definitely using him in all my exotics across the board.
So you mentioned Renegade getting the rail there. Do you think they're happy with that? I mean, what type of horse is he? Is he going to get out, break fast, and get to the lead and hold it? Is it all about the start for Renegade coming off the rail?
Yeah, so for him, he's definitely going to be coming from the back, off the pace a little bit. So I don't think there's too many issues there. Obviously, when there's 20 horses and you're on the inside and you're trying to get through those horses, there's going to be a challenge. But, you know, I remember one of my best bets in my entire lifetime, Mind That Bird, that just found that rail and went straight up on the inside and sort of left everyone for dead and took the shortest way home. So, you know, it's a tough race. For me, I don't think this is a good field. You know, it's not. There's a couple of horses in there that are really good. That's why I think maybe the Japanese horse can sort of stand up to these. But yeah, overall, I don't feel like this is a class field of what we've had in really any year over the last how many years they've ran this thing.
Does the weather matter in terms of what we're going to see? It looks, I mean, we're still a bunch of days out, but it looks like it's going to be okay from a weather perspective.
Weather's always fun. I love a wet derby. I mean, that just completely, you know, tears up tickets, throws everything out the window and looking for a thing. Again, Mind That Bird won in the wet. Mystic Dan was raining. So, yeah, there's things that I would definitely dig deeper if there's rain. But from what I saw the forecast, it didn't look like that it was going to be a wet track or anything of that nature. So it's kind of, you know, speed as is, stalkers as is, off the pace as is. And again, you could play this many ways. Like I was just looking for it now. I have a chocolate bar wrapper that I happened to be eating one day when I was doing some form. And I wrote down 3 horses on it when I was watching the Louisiana Derby that I will be boxing these for exacta and trifecta, Emerging Market, Pavlovian, and Golden Tempo, just because one thing that does happen in this race is you may get just one of the prep races that's a standout, and those horses that are all finished close in a prep race seem to all finish close on the front end in this race. So, you know, it's hard to judge a lot of these, and this is the tricky part of it, is all of these prep races, some of them have run against each other, some are East Coast, some are West Coast, some have never met, and those kind of things. So there's sometimes a little spots where if you really like one horse and you don't really like the other two, well, you can't really unlike them when they ran really well together in a single prep race. So that's where these 3 horses, I think, you know, one's a pace horse, one's coming off the pace, and one's sort of a dead closer. They could just end up being sort of there at the end. So there's little bits and pieces that I'll play some throwaway bets just from, you know, kind of the degenerate aspect of just, again, you do this a long time and things just feel a certain way and you can't leave those tickets out just in case.
Right. From a handicapping standpoint, is it more difficult to handicap a field like this, or does it make it easier because we don't have that super horse or the top 2 horses?
No, I mean, this is an insane race to handicap. Again, 20 horses, you've got to jump clean, you've got to get a clean trip. There is a lot of luck in this. Generally at the end, yes, the better horses are there coming on at the end. You know, 6 speed is kind of the pace coming out from 17. But if he doesn't break good, then, you know, there might not be the speed that was expected. So then the closers don't get the speed to run against at the end, and all kinds of things. It's kind of chaos and madness when you put these things together. And that's why when you throw in some rain in some of these years, it just throw darts, have a guess. But, you know, for me, Renegade at 4.5 to 1 is just like, leave it alone. Sure, put it on the underneath on the exotics, but leave it off the win for me. Commandment's one that you got to put on there, whether I like him at 6s or 7s. You know, he's just got to be on the front. Further Ado's another one as well. But for me, I'll be throwing, Golden Tempo 30 or 40s. Dannenberg, I just said anywhere from 20s to 50s. And there's a few others in there that, I think will be in the mix at the end.
When do you get involved? Did you wait till Saturday, or do you get involved Friday? Like when do you get look to get your bets in?
So I have some future bets from when I was out in Vegas a couple of times prior. I've got a bit of silent tactic at decent odds. It's still overlay of what he is now. Another one, I think, Pavlovian, I've done a little bit on Golden Tempo as well. But for the exotics and that, they really don't come up until I think they open the markets Friday. And you can sort of start placing stuff. But we'll see who puts up matchups. Again, Circa's been one that I've always done the fixed odds and the futures. Then they didn't do that. They did the head-to-heads, and I'm told this year they're not going to do that. So it's kind of hard to find places, to get on some of these things. For, the last 20-odd years, Don Best has usually copied mine wherever I've been. So it's kind of been hard to do anything because everyone just copies what I end up putting up, and I'm first up and stuff like that. And there was one year where I put them up when I was in Vegas. I went to the Aladdin. I had up bad numbers, put them up for $1, went to the Aladdin, bet what I wanted to bet, went back to the hotel, raised the limits to what they should be, moved the lines, and, everyone had followed in on those. So there's been some fun and games with the Kentucky Derby over the last 25 years I've been doing it.
That is wild. I mean, overall, from a handle perspective, what does this do from obviously it's huge on Saturday when we're getting involved, but how's the action? What are you anticipating from a handle perspective?
So for me, when I've done it for different books, that's why I put up futures and I can lay things to win 50 or 100 back when I was with the Greek and stuff like that. Because you'd write 3 or 4 times that much the week of the race. So it's like no different than, to win the Super Bowl and stuff like that. You can take these early futures, build a position. And now the benefit of doing futures in these spots is there's a lot of horses that don't make the gate. I think the original pool that the Churchill Downs did in October or November, I think there's 1 or 2 out of that 40 horse list that's actually in the gate this weekend. So, there's a lot of fun of that along the way. But and there's contests this weekend, so I'm going to go and play those as well. One on Oaks Day, one on Derby Day. I'll start. Well, I've done a lot of the form and the watching already. It's really just playing out and then getting involved in the other races as well.
Billy wants to know, what were the 3 chocolate wrapper horses again? Who are you putting in a box?
Emerging Market, Pavlovian, and Golden Tempo out of the Louisiana Derby.
Out of Louisiana Derby. So that's pretty good in terms of their post position. Pavlovian getting the 16, that's not horrible, and then you're getting some decent positions out of the other one. So that's not bad at all. Any worry about Golden Tempo being so far to the outside and how much they have to break to the inside?
No, because he'll be coming from the clouds at the end. So he'll be running down the middle of the track. Hopefully he's sitting 3-4 wide the whole way around, getting a clean run, step out to the 5 wide position and just run past all of them at the end. But yeah, there's those ones that, in the outside gates that will be sitting back, that'll be happy to be sitting 3 or 4 wide, not having to go through traffic at the end. And that's when really it depends on the pace and the speed of whether it falls apart. The more it falls apart, the better it is for those closers. But I've also learned over the years, and I'm a dead closing horse better. I have been forever. But when I was in the late 90s working with some really high-end Australian bettors, they were always on leaders and horses on the pace. And I sort of started to learn over time, again, they're in a position to win from the outset of the race. And owning horses, you get to learn as well when they miss the break or they have to come from behind and stuff, like how tough it is and how much you got to urge them on. So there's just times where, especially the Derby, you want your horse to be sitting sort of 5th to 10th, couple off the fence, not too many to get past in that sense. And that's where a Golden Tempo could just run into trouble and not get the pace he needs and be running hard at the end, but run 4th or 5th or something like that when if it was another, furlong or something, he may get home. But yeah, it's tough to sort of have those dead closes in that sense, and that's why I think Renegade's a risk.
I know it's Monday, so we have some time before the race is run on Saturday. But before we move off of this, give the Brigade a box, give the Brigade a play from a casual that wants to put $5 down on the race on Saturday. What could they potentially get themselves involved with? Is it your chocolate wrapper bet, or do you like something else that might be more fun?
No, and again, I think you've sort of got to put some of those ones that you definitely know in there. Chief Wallaby will be a tough horse, and the Puma, but I think Commandment, Further Ado, and then from all the others I've thrown out there, pick another two, box them up for an exacta and a trifecta, and let them run.
Put $1 down and then have some fun for a $25 bet, whatever it winds up being for the Derby. So that should be fun. So we'll see what happens on Saturday as it all runs. I want to switch to the NBA playoffs here for just 1 second and take a look at what's going on with your Laker liability. The Lakers lost game 4, but they're up 3 games to 1. They're such a public and popular bet with people. Have you been seeing much Laker money coming in with them going up 3-0 on the Rockets?
Yeah, they're still chipping away at the Lakers. Even on the series, I was looking at it, and we're not in a good position on the series from the outset. They just keep getting chipped away at, and the numbers keep getting bigger and redder, and we just got to lock in and hope they don't do it. But yeah, they sort of jumped out the gates quick, and ended up being on a few of the games myself on the money line and some of that with the data plays. So it is what it is. You worry about the futures when the futures time comes. You deal with the games right now and see where you can get a position. But we've had good results on some of those games too, on those first bunch of games. So, does it even out? Yeah. Over time, you're really concentrating on the games. And then you'll deal with the futures when they come around.
If the Western Conference Finals, if you wind up having San Antonio facing off against Oklahoma City, is that a good result for you guys to get the Lakers out of there and get Denver out of there if that were to happen? Did you lose me? Did we lose Adam? Are we back? Hello?
I don't know if I lost you or you lost me.
Can you hear me? I got you.
Okay, you're back.
Okay, good. I was asking if it winds up being the Spurs and the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, is that a good result to get rid of Denver and the Lakers?
Yeah. I mean, a chalky final is a good result for us. OKC have been really short from the outset, didn't get a lot of money on them, and the Spurs were good as well. So a chalky finals is quite happy to have that.
And then one question on hockey, because I asked you it off air last night because I was really curious. When you see a 7.5 pop in the playoffs between Edmonton and Anaheim, I asked you, is that a data play to go play the under? I played over 7 and under 7.5 in that game. But how often do you see 7.5 pop where people are betting the over?
Yeah, so that for me, when I saw that number, it's even in baseball recently. When you see a 6.5 or 7, or you see a 14 and stuff like that, there's just numbers. Football, basketball, not so much these days. But you just like, how can this be? And when I went into that game and I was watching the charts all day, I did an early release, and I was watching both the Lakers game and the Ducks game, and it looked like the Ducks ended up into a data play. And then I sort of saw the total, and it was in a similar spot. The master money was on the under, the rec money was on the over. So I ended up playing the Ducks and under myself and the Ducks. So it ended up, bit of a sweat, hard way to get there, but got home in the end. But yeah, those totals just felt high, but it landed on the 7, so I guess the bookmakers knew what they were doing.
Right, under 7.5. Adam, enjoy the trip. Hopefully no problems in Texas and you get over to Kentucky and there's no issues with that. Have a blast. Thank you for all the advice. I will update you next week on how my trip went to Barcelona, but we'll talk to you next week, all right?
All right, cheers. Thanks, Matt. Good luck.
Adam Bjorn joining us here on Pushing the Odds, as we always get him normally on Thursdays. Today, getting him on a Wednesday or Monday, right? Sorry, Monday, as we get ready for vacation for me coming up. So there was a lot of information in there. So I'm going to cut that interview and I'm going to put that interview on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@openingline media. Go back to that on Friday. and then rewatch that interview, and then you'll have a better idea of what to play on Saturday morning or Friday afternoon, depending on whenever you make your bets for the Kentucky Derby. So he gave out a lot of good information as to what's going to happen here on the Derby. I'm ecstatic to get over there. I need to know from Seminole, though, I'm going to this restaurant. Did you know this? That's a crazy thing. And of all the restaurants in Barcelona, we're going there on Wednesday. So I can't even say that name. That's one of the, when I was saying I'm making reservations at restaurants that have X's in the name. I don't even know how to say that. Like I can't pronounce that, but I do have a reservation on Wednesday night to go this. But Seminole is saying his bar is an Irish pub. What do you mean your bar? Are you there? Like, okay, I've been there. Okay. You're not there, right? If you're in Barcelona right now, that would be crazy. But I wouldn't put it past the brigade. We've done that before where we've talked about certain places and people have been like, yeah, I live there. Like, what do you mean you live there? Like, are you kidding me? It's the beauty of the internet. So, but yeah, so I'm going there Wednesday. I'm going to, what is it called? It's Perez or Perez, like Zulu or something like that. I'm going there on Tuesday for lunch. So we land in the morning. We're flying a red eye. It's called My Bar. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. It's hard to do everything at once. I don't always get there on that. So thank you. It's called My Bar. Well, I'll look it up. My Bar's an Irish pub. Okay, that's an interesting sentence, but we'll get to that. But I'm flying the red eye. It's Barcelona is 6 hours ahead of Boston, and it's 9 hours ahead of Vegas. So I flew a red eye. I had the most harrowing trip to here, which I'll talk about here in a second. But we land at like 9:30 in the morning, and then we're going to go to the beach, and then we're going to go to this place on the water to have lunch, and then check into our hotel, and then pass the bleep out because I hate flying red eyes, and you don't sleep at all on planes really. The red eye here that I took from Vegas to Boston, I've never had this happen. The plane took off. I went to sleep. I was like, see you later. I went to sleep. I woke up about 15 minutes into the flight, and there was this beeping noise, this beep, beep, beeping noise going on like crazy. And this beeping noise was an alarm. And the alarm at the time, the pilot said, I can't fly with that alarm. It's really annoying. So we're going back to Vegas. What? We're going back to Vegas. So we turn around and we go back to Vegas. We had only flown about 30 minutes out of Vegas. So we had to fly 30 minutes back to Vegas. And when we landed, there were fire trucks all over the runway. And I didn't even understand. Like everybody was like, why is there so many fire trucks all along? Well, unbeknownst to us, that beeping noise was not just some random beeping noise. That was a pressurized warning for the pilots that the cabin wasn't pressurized properly. So we ended up having to turn around and go back to Vegas because the plane could not fly higher than 5,000 feet. So as we started to get higher and higher, we would have had a problem with the pressurization of the actual plane. So that could have had all of us pass out. It could have been, those things fall down from the masks fall down from up top and whatnot. So it could have been really bad. So we go back, we deplane in Vegas, and 3.5 hours later, they come back and say, yes, we did a pressurization test. It was a computer malfunction. We're all good. The plane's okay. Get back on the plane and fly to Vegas. So I was supposed to land at 6 o'clock. I landed a.m. I landed at 10:30 in the morning and then wound up getting picked up and coming up here to New Hampshire. So that was really crazy. Shouldn't the pilot have known that? I think he did know it. He was just trying to keep us calm. I think he did know what the beeping noise was, and he was just telling us something because the guy I was sitting next to when the pilot said that, and when he was like, I'm just not going to fly. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to go back. And the guy next to me said, yeah, there's a much bigger problem than he's telling us. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, things in planes don't just beep. Like that doesn't just beep. It's like there's something going on. So the guy who was next to me followed the pilot out. He saw him on a phone, and he followed him, and he listened to what he was telling his boss. And he did say it was because of this system that went off, and he went and put it into ChatGPT. And what kicked back is what Chef Benny is talking about. A couple of years ago, they flown, it did not pressurize properly, and everybody passed out, including the pilots, and they couldn't wake anybody up. And the plane was on autopilot, and then it flew until it crashed. It flew around, ran out of gas, and it crashed. So that's why that warning system was put into place, so that wouldn't happen. Whether or not there was actually a pressurization warning or whether or not there was just a malfunction, we'll never know. But they did the test and it was fixed. But it was, I mean, I was texting Amanda going like, hey, like if I go down, make sure like, telling her all the different things you need to do if I'm going to die on this flight. So I was not comfortable on getting back onto that plane. I was not comfortable. I was definitely concerned about getting back on the plane. So now I'm getting on another plane for another red eye here today. And I'm like crossing my fingers going like, okay, please, no problems, please, no problems. So like, these are the things where it's like, okay, look, air travel is dangerous at times. It can be delayed at times, but that was not fun. Like that sucked. Yes. Josie Myers, Payne Stewart had something similar. Yeah. It's really scary. Like very, very scary, very, very awkward, very, very nasty to have that happen. But I got here. It's all that matters, right? If I'm 4 hours late, I'm 4 hours late. Just you want to be alive and you want to get to where you're going. So that wasn't fun. On the flight here, that was a first to take off, to go. I guess we were doing circles around the airport. I didn't know that. I couldn't tell they were doing circles. But when you go back and look at the flight plan from the flight that I was on, we were just doing circles. We didn't get up high at all. And so they were getting the ground ready to go. That's why those fire trucks were all there, because it's a plane landing full of fuel. You're not supposed to land with that much fuel. So, but we had to land because of the fact that we had a problem with the pressurization for the plane. So not a fun trip here. Hopefully a better start will happen this coming next couple of days. Let's talk about what happened this weekend. Oh no, sorry, JC. Boy, I'm glad I'm not sitting at a gate waiting to get on a plane soon. Sorry, dude. I'm getting on a plane it's 1:50 p.m. Eastern time right now. I'm on a flight at 8 o'clock. So I'm right there behind you. So I'm there too. So, never good when you get that like brush of reality as to what flying really is. But that did happen to me on the way here. So that was a first. I'm hoping that everything is fine on this 7-hour flight from Boston to Barcelona, which I'm about to get on here in about 6 hours. So I feel you. I'm with you on that point. Not fun. Let's talk about what happened last night. The Raptors wind up winning game 4. That series now tied at 2 against the Cavaliers, which is somewhat surprising. I did not think that series would go. Most likely it's going 6 now, most likely going 7 games, which is, I guess, if you're a fan of the Pistons, you're excited about that, but the Pistons have to win their series. There's no guarantee for that. The Rockets stayed alive by winning game 4 over the Lakers. They got the W there, although I think that's going to be quick. As you heard Adam talk about, pros and Joes are hammering the Lakers for a variety of things, both for the series and to win the Western Conference and for winning the NBA championship. So high liability on the Lakers, as there always is. Big controversy last night between the Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers. They're up 3-1 now after a really controversial goal in overtime to win the game 4-3, which did have it go to a 7, a bit under 7.5. You cashed because, as ESPN wrote last night, the goal was ruled a goal by the referees. The NHL's Situation Room had to find indisputable evidence that the goal shouldn't count to overturn the call on the ice. Replay showed the puck appeared across the goal line, but the view was obstructed by the skate of Jari, goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers. Quote, "It's hard. We were just looking at it and you can't really tell. You can go either way with it. Obviously on the losing side, we didn't think it went in," said Jari. Well, there's the picture on your screen and you can tell me, do you think that puck is completely past the red line? The problem is you can't see the red line and you can't see where the puck is. It looks like, with a naked eye, it looks like that puck is fully past the red line, which would make it a good goal. But you can't say that definitively. You can't say that there is no part of that puck that is touching the red line. And that's the problem, because you would need to have indisputable evidence that no part of that puck is touching the red line for that puck to be ruled no goal. And that's why the Oilers are down 3-1, and they're bent. And they probably should be bent about that call because of the goalie, because of the referee who made the call as a good goal was so far away from the play. He was on the other side. He was by the boards making that call, not the referees that were right by the goal line. The other referee made that call. And if he had called it no goal, it probably would have stayed no goal. But because that referee that was so far away made the call of a good goal, then it's a goal. So, I mean, look, people saying the puck is completely past the line. Ish says that's 100% past the line. I don't think you can say that. I don't think you can say 100% it's past the line. This is the point from Jeff Benny. That looks in to me. But the key word is looks. It can't look like it's in. It must be definitively in if you have ruled this to be no goal. But it's ruled a good goal. So can you definitively tell me that it's not a goal? No, you can't definitively tell me that that is a non-goal, that puck is not 100% past the line. It looks like it's past the line, but looks is not what we're after here. This is not hand grenades. We need exact. Is the puck past the red line? I may say yes. You may say yes. I think it's a goal. I think it's a good call. But the Oilers and their fans say no way. And if it had been ruled no goal, it would have stayed no goal. But because it got ruled a goal, the Oilers are down 3-1 now to the young and upstart Anaheim Ducks, which is wild to watch. Speaking of the wild, Game 4 goes to Minnesota. They win. They're tied 2-2 with Dallas. This series has been so fun. This has been, I've been watching this. I've been addicted to this. I've absolutely loved this series between the two. I have no idea who wins. I mean, through 4 games, I have no clue who winds up winning. The Hurricanes and the Avs are both through to the next round. They go 4-0, 4-0. Philly can join them tonight. If they knock out the Pittsburgh Penguins, they'll go up 3-0 on their best of 7, or they're up 3-0. They'll win their series 4-1, up 3-1 on Pittsburgh. They'll go and advance to the second round in the Eastern Conference. Quickly to baseball, where the Braves have won 8 of 10, and they are now up by 6.5 games in the NL East. If you're asking me what price or what ticket you should be buying for a World Series championship in April, I know it's really early, but the Braves look like the best team in baseball. So if you're tracking these numbers, if you're seeing where we're going to wind up going, the Braves to win it all right now would be the best bet to make, although it is April and it is a long time to do it. But right now, I bet the Braves. Let's jump down the rabbit hole. Let's look at the NHL and NBA playoff series where the dog might be live to come back. We are jumping on the rabbit hole thanks to our friends at the Rabbit app. You can download it in the Google Play or the Apple Play Store. This is where you challenge your friends and not the house as you create and share custom sports picks with no limit and no algorithm or house. You're betting against a real person on the other side. No more faceless encounters. You know who you're going up against. You can go ahead and set the lines. You can have the odds at whatever you want the odds to be. Offers you can't find on any other platform are also available at Rabbit, and use the code RABBIT5 when you sign up to get 5 free Rabbit Cash. We'll let you use Rabbit for free for the first time you use it. Get in Google Play, Apple Store for Rabbit. Let's look at some of these matchups here as to who might be a decent value. I mentioned the Oilers are down 3-1 in their best of 7 series. Are they dead? Well, they are minus 475 favorites. The Ducks are. The Oilers are plus 367 at Betcris to come back and win their series. Could they win 3 games in a row? Well, they have the pedigree to do it, right? Anaheim is unproven. It's almost 4-1. I don't hate that play. I don't think I would make it personally because I do think Anaheim would win a home game. I think they would most likely win game 6 to win the series if they have to go there, but they could very well win game 5 as well and knock out the Oilers. So I'm not sure how live Edmonton is. On the other side, though, the Vegas Golden Knights are down 2-1, and they play a game against Utah tonight that if they lose that game, they go down 3-1. But I think if you're looking at value, Vegas is plus 141. That's not horrible. It also tells you where the books think that Utah is because Utah is a young and inexperienced team. I don't mind the price on Utah at minus 162 to win that series. If you've been watching Utah and Vegas, there's no debate who the better team has been through 3 games. It's been Utah. They've been the better hockey club for sure. But maybe Vegas turns things around. Maybe William Karlsson comes back for the Golden Knights. They could definitely use him to come in and help them. But Utah right now, at only minus 162, that's not horrible odds on Utah to wind up winning their series as well. To the NBA, we can go with the Rockets, who are down 3-1. And you mentioned the liability, or Adam mentioned the liability with the Lakers in the futures market here. I don't know, man. This is a price where they're heavy favorites. The Lakers are heavy favorites. I wouldn't be backing the Rockets given what's going on with Kevin Durant. He didn't play last night. They, I think, need him to come back. They played better without him, so maybe they don't want him to come back. But there's a lot of issues going on with them. The Pistons are favored, even though they are down 2-1 to the Magic. The Pistons are minus 126 favorites, and they should win tonight to even up their series at 2 games apiece. And the Nuggets are catching plus 126 against the Timberwolves here, even with Minnesota having a commanding 3-1 lead. The injuries are dramatic. DiVincenzo and the torn Achilles, he is gone. And the knee injury to Anthony Edwards. 11.5-point spread tonight for the Nuggets, and they are expected. I mean, that's a great price. If I'm of all the numbers we just talked about, of all the bets I would make, Denver plus 126, that's a pretty good price. That's plus money. They'll be big favorites in the remaining games of this series, and 2 extremely difficult injuries for the Timberwolves. It's a really bad break for Minnesota, but they only got to do with 1 game. That's all they need is 1 win. So maybe you go, wait a minute, I just need 1 win for them, and I could go ahead at minus 145. That's a tremendous price, given that they just need to win 1 game of the remaining 3 to knock out the Nuggets. And they just need Gobert. They just need someone to go and have a huge game for them, and they can knock out the Denver Nuggets. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think there's some really good prices coming up with this out there. Yeah, AP says Luka may come back. Yeah, that's Luka. That's why everyone's betting the Lakers, because they thought the Lakers wouldn't be able to handle. They would wind up getting, they'd get knocked out in the first round against the Rockets, and it wouldn't matter about Luka. So if they knock out the Rockets and they get Luka back, oh boy, that changes everything. And from an Eastern Conference perspective, and I'm obviously a Celtics person, let's go Lakers. Like, go ahead and beat the living daylights, make the Western Conference Finals, beat up on OKC, make it difficult on them. I'm 100% here for a Laker run. It would be great to see it. So just make it more difficult, because right now it looks like a coronation with the OKC Thunder, that when they put their foot on the gas pedal, there's nobody that can contend with them. The Spurs, maybe. Maybe the Spurs. But right now, the Spurs path, I thought it was going to be, a tough series against the Blazers. Then they play the Nuggets. Then they play the Thunder. I've got that, what ticket on the Spurs? 15-1, I think it is, on the Spurs to win it all. And I hate the path for San Antonio. It's such a difficult path for them. But if Minnesota were to knock out the Nuggets, you would have a really banged up Minnesota team up against the Spurs. So the Spurs get past the get past the Blazers. They get past the T-Wolves relatively easily. And then they're playing in the next round, OKC, Lakers, somebody else. So that's the benefit of, like, if Luka comes back and really pushes the Thunder, and maybe LeBron finds the fountain of youth, and the Lakers become a really big problem and they knock out the defending champs, I mean, this would be beautiful. You want to talk about NBA. If the NBA could get Lakers Celtics in the finals, they would be falling over themselves if they could wind up getting that. So, like, that's a dream right there for the NBA if they could find out getting those teams together. So a lot of interesting things to bet on in the futures market, depending on who you like to come out of that. the Western Conference is more wide open if the Lakers get past, and they should win the next game against the Rockets, and they get Luka back. Oh my. Okay, we're not so open and shut for OKC to wind up winning the West, because the Spurs have looked tremendous recently. We're going to do a quick bonus time here, a couple of quick stories, make some bets in bonus time. If you guys are watching on the replay on Sports Grid TV, thank you for being here. Reminder, the next 4 days on Sports Grid, you're going to get a best of replay. So if you're watching on Sports Grid right now, we're on vacation for 4 days, back again for a new episode of PTO on Monday. If you guys are live, bonus time now. You guys are actually saying, don't forget about Bronny. I have forgotten about Bronny. I have forgotten about Bronny. Seminole making easy money with the Celtics. Yep. First quarter, second quarter, game, all of it hit. Everything hit. The only thing that didn't hit was the under. I bet the under. Everything on that Boston game hit but the under, because, well, they couldn't miss. Boston just couldn't miss. They hit a billion threes. I mean, Pritchard goes for 30 plus. Ridiculous. Unbelievably ridiculous performance. Dominant performance. Let's talk news of the industry involving the handle for the World Cup. We are 50 days away from the start of the World Cup, which is kind of crazy if you stop and think about that. Just 50 days away from a mega event. And the global betting revenue is expected to skyrocket. How about this? Globally, according to ingame.com, expected to be at $150 billion worldwide for national and international markets alike at sportsbooks across the globe. $150 billion. And according to Adam Bjorn, I asked Adam this question about what he thought of that number, and he thought it might have been low. He thought that number might have been low. $150 billion bet on the World Cup might be low. That's unbelievable. How much money is about to get bet on the World Cup? Over $150 billion. This is exactly what the U.S. needs in the summertime. Like, give the sports books a shot in the arm, give them a huge amount of handle, give them action, huge action on these games. As Adam has talked about, every World Cup game has a Super Bowl level handle globally. And that's what, I mean, flat out, the U.S. sports books can absolutely need it. And yeah, Ish is saying it's got to be the best event to bet on. I cannot wait it. Maybe it is. I don't know. But gigantic, huge rules, huge, issues coming up here for the World Cup in terms of handle and betting and both teams to score, the totals, goal scorers, golden goals, the golden foot, like all the different markets that are going to be out there. And we're 50 days away from the start of the World Cup. And I don't really know if we really understand how big this is going to be and how massive, for books like Betcris, how massive this event is going to be and how excited they are to get rolling with the World Cup here in 50 days. $150 billion expected to be bet on it. Let's make some bets. All right, Just Picks being brought to you by the Betting Pros Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. You guys can download the Betting Pros app and go and look at the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet for all the NBA player props, or go to bettingpros.com/NBA props to see the prop bets that the algorithm likes for tonight. I am going with teams with their backs against the wall. I'm taking the Pistons laying 2.5 points tonight in a game that they have to have. And I think that they will outperform and win this game here coming up tonight against the Magic. I know it's game 4. I know the Magic have done very well at home, but I expect a great effort of the Pistons tonight. I like Detroit laying 2.5 to get a win here and even up their series at 2 games apiece up against the Orlando Thunder. I'm going to lay the price with the Nuggets here. Obviously, they got to win. They're down 3-1. But I think you're getting a Herculean effort out of Jokic tonight. I think you're getting a great game out of Denver. I think they'll go 3-2. I'll put the 11.5 down. I think they cover the 11.5. I know that's a really big number, but let's go. I'll be excited to see what's going to happen with this on that for sure. And then again, I like Vegas on the money line to even up their series at 2 games apiece for Vegas and Utah. I like Vegas on the money line tonight to get a win here against the Utah Mammoth on the road. Vegas has been a good team on the road this year at times. I like Vegas to that series at 2 games apiece. So Pistons, Nuggets, Vegas. Pistons and Nuggets laying the number, and then I'm going with Vegas on the money line. I've seen a couple of you guys drop the breaking news, and before we go to break, I'll go ahead and drop it for you. So without having all the information, and you guys have put this up earlier, but this is like the 4th time you guys have put this in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up because clearly it matters to you guys in the brigade. Athletic is reporting the Texas Tech quarterback is going to take an immediate leave of absence due to his addiction to gambling. Now, can I be cynical for a second and kind of wonder, did he get caught? Is that why this story is coming out now? Is he involved in some type of scandal? Because Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech transfer quarterback, one of the college football's top returning players, is checking into a residential treatment program for gambling addiction, according to Texas Tech. They made the announcement themselves. The NCAA is investigating Sorsby's gambling, according to sources, as organizational forbids athletes from betting on both college and pro sports. So, again, I'm sorry to be a cynic, but there we go. Is this about a guy who is addicted to gambling? Or is this a guy, who was caught making thousands of bets on a gambling app? Oh, someone says he admitted it. He played one game and apparently bet IU football. So, okay. So he got caught. He's checking into a rehab facility because he got caught. I mean, I don't mean to be a complete dick and not like take into account that the kid could be addicted and having a problem. He probably does. But this is not a kid saying, I need help, help me. This is the kid is, I got caught. I need to save my image. So I need to go and say, I'm addicted. I've got problems. I'm betting. I'm an addicted gambler. He very well be maybe an addicted gambler, but he's only going ahead and in handling the real issue because he got caught. So I'm a little bit on the skeptical side on that because he was betting. He got caught betting. And thus now he's owning up to the problems and saying, I need help, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. Favorite thing about today. All right, favorite thing about today. I have never been to Spain, so I get to cross it off the bucket list tomorrow morning, getting on a red eye and flying. I'll be in Barcelona. If you guys haven't followed me on social at Sports Talk Matt, I really don't put anything like personal on, not much, on X. I occasionally put pictures of my daughter or like I'll put like sports betting stuff. If I see sports books in Spain, I'll put them up on X. But if you care about like the vacation side of things, Instagram is where I put most of the stuff in my Instagram stories. So we'll track. I'm going to try to eat my weight in paella. I'm a huge fan of Spanish wine. Looking forward to doing all that and trying to unplug. There is no daily juice for those of you who are juice listeners, watchers. We're off until next Monday. PTO is off until next Monday as well after today. And there'll be best of shows on Sports Grid on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you'll get some best of shows on Sports Grid. So the next time you'll get live sports betting content from me will come back on Monday. I land Saturday night back in Vegas at 10 p.m. And I'm going to need like seriously 48 hours to get my life in order. I only get about 24 hours to get my life in order. But it's going to be crazy because it's a 9-hour time difference between Barcelona and Las Vegas. So, I mean, mass difference. But if you guys have any recommendations, we're already giving it in the chat, but if you guys have chances of, you've ever been there, you got a place we should go, let me know in my DMs. They're open on X, they're open on Instagram. Let me know about Barcelona and what you've liked about it, meals to order, places to check out. Adam says it's big on chocolate, so we're going to do that. We'll go check out chocolate. We're doing all the real touristy stuff, like everything that you think of when it comes to Barcelona. We're doing all of those things. But if there are some like hidden gems that you don't know of, let us know. And we'll go ahead and I'll put pictures up and tag you if we wind up going to there. So be good. Thank you for being here, Brigade. We appreciate all of you. A big thanks to Betcris Arizona and Adam Bjorn for coming on in. Enjoy the Kentucky Derby coming up on Saturday. If I have time, if I do make a Derby bet, I don't know. I mean, there's gambling in Barcelona, obviously, but I don't know if I can bet on the Kentucky Derby over there. I probably can, but we'll see what ends up happening. If I can bet over there on the Derby, I'll bet on the Derby, even though it's 9-hour difference between, or it's 8-hour difference between the Derby. No, 7 hours. Yeah, 7-hour difference between the Derby. I'll be sound asleep when the Derby gets run in Barcelona time. It's overnight, but I'll throw a bet or two on there, and I'll tell you about it coming up on social media if I wind up doing it. We're back on Monday for a new episode of Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault, presented by Betcris Arizona. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you in 6 days for a new episode of PTO.